Today we're up in the Ochre Mountains. We're going to do a walk around on my 1982 Scrambler. These were made from 1981 to 86. About 27,700 were made. They were Jeep's attempt to get into the small truck market. It's basically a CJ7, just lengthened. They were added this right here, put a half cab on to try and get in with Toyota, Nissan, and Ford, and Chevy. They were all making small trucks in the 80s, and this was Jeep trying to get in on it. They didn't sell real well because they didn't quite have the payload and the others, and most people bought Jeeps for, Jeeping and whatnot. And back then it was considered too long. The back end hung out too far, so they just didn't do well. And it wasn't until quite a few years later they became popular, and people started seeing that the wheelbase actually really helped if you lifted them up off the ground on the trails and whatnot. So we'll start up front here. We'll just kind of go through modifications I've done over the years. When I bought this, it was in Pinedale, Wyoming, bone stock original. It was a dark blue, and it had just been out in the sun its whole life. So it was pretty much kind of rust free, just super sun faded. So I painted it a satin black so that I could take it out and use it and scratch it and ding it and dent it. And not have to worry about ruining really nice paint, because I really love wheeling this one. It's been all over Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, Arizona, South Dakota, just all over the place. We take it to a lot of Scrambler events and use it for that, and this thing just always goes. We've got our Warn 9000i winch. I wanted a more kind of retro winch that you would have seen on these in the late 80s, and so that went with that one, but put a synthetic line on it for more user friendly. We did a 4-core aluminum radiator to help keep it cool, because she's got a little surprise underneath the hood. Picked up a 1977 Wagoneer with 60,000 original miles on it. Yanked the 401 out of it, went through it and rebuilt it, did comp cam and timing chain and lifters and pretty much everything. Edelbrock performer intake, fuel injection, CRT, HEI ignition. Just basically went through it to make her like brand new again. How it's set up, it should be pushing about 450 horse out of it. That's mated to the original T5 for right now. Eventually we're going to change that to an NSG 370, but for now the T5's holding up on that. And then we've got the Dana 300 transfer case behind that still, and then we've got Tom Woods 1350 there. The rear axle is a custom built Dana 60 by East Coast Gear Supply to stock width with 35 spline chromoly shafts, Eaton E-locker, with disc brakes in the rear. And then we've also got the kind of a hybrid 44 front end with it's a JK ring and pinion, so it's an 8.89 ring gear with CRT U-joints, chromoly shafts, and bigger disc brakes from like a J truck on there to help stop this thing, because once we put in the 401, it really struggled to stop. But now with disc brakes all the way around, it stops pretty dang good. We've got our steering box brace there to help hold the steering box in place. Bilstein shocks all the way around. These are BDS 4.5-inch leaf springs to help get her up in the air. Got a little bit bigger shackle to help clear the 35s on it. Let's close this up. This was not optioned with the power brakes, so we added power brakes to it as well. Our Maxxis Razor 35 1250 R15 tires on it. They work just super awesome everywhere. We got our Raceline bead locks on there. We've got our little AMC valve stem covers on there. For the longest time, I kept the original aluminum rockers on it, but unfortunately we were so hard on it that we started bending those up. So we put these on by Rock Hard 4x4, and they keep us from bending up the body, and we can get into it without hurting it. So in 1982 and before, they didn't have wing windows. I put 1984 doors on this so I could have wing windows. Changed out the dash pad because the 1982 dash pad actually comes like this because there's no wing windows, but 1983 and up have this divot so you can swing out your wing windows. But the rest of this is all original body. The gauges and radio, well, all the gauges, poles on the heaters and whatnot are all original. The radio I did change to kind of it looks like an original type of antique radio, but it is actually digital and Bluetooth, so you can have modern music in it. The seats are the original seats we had recovered in leather. I took them to a guy that does a really good job and had him copy the original seat patterns exactly. And then the center pad was also recovered in leather to copy that as well. It's the original carpet inside. It's pretty rare to see original carpet in a Scrambler. We added a Hurst shifter to it as well. If you look in the center there, you can see you got your locker buttons, and then the third button is the cutout for the exhaust. So you can close the exhaust so it's nice and quiet, so you can drive it on the highway and around town without it driving you bonkers. But if you want to play monster truck, you can open it up and it just dumps straight out. It's pretty fun to drive around with it like that. With the cam in it and whatnot, it's got a pretty good lope, so it gets pretty rowdy. On that, we got 3.5-inch exhaust on it, so it sounds pretty dang mean on there. We've got our 401 emblems back here. These are from a 69, if I remember right, AMX. So those are the only ones that those emblems came on, if I remember right. They're pretty cool, so we tracked some of those down, put it on there as well. It's a custom built rear bumper. Couldn't find anything we liked, so we just made something super clean and simple that we could beat on and not have to worry about it. This Scrambler originally came with the spare tire in the bed. It's mounted, which would have been originally mounted on the roll bar right there, so it's up and out of the way so that you can lay down the tailgate and use your bed, you know, for 2x4s and motorcycles and stuff like that. The 35 does not fit on there, so we got a CJ7 swing out tire carrier and mounted that to hold our 35. And that works really well. Some Scramblers were optioned with that, but standard, the spare tire is mounted to the roll bar inside. One of the other things I wanted to cover on this was on the Scrambler hood emblems or hood stickers. It's pretty neat that when they put these on, everything's computerized now, but back then it was actually a guy or girl that would actually put the sticker on. So if you look at Scramblers, there are no two alike because they are just all over the place. I've had 3 of my Scramblers parked next together, and one's here, one's here, one's here. So it just kind of was whatever that guy felt like that day. When I sanded this down to bare metal and repainted it, I didn't sand the sticker off. I left it there so I could put the sticker back over exactly where it was before. So if you see the lines in there, that's from the original Scrambler sticker. So for me on these, it's all about the details, and I just love to keep them as original as possible looking. That's why I've built it the way I have. But check back with us next week, or actually 2 weeks. We're trying to do a special on all the vehicles in the collection every 2 weeks, and we'll do another one. But for now, we're just gonna go have some fun.